Hey, it's Clay at ClayTrader.com. This will be the weekly review of the Power Profit Scan newsletter, which is a portion of the Inner Circle service that I offer. And before I go any further, a couple quick disclaimers, although in this case it'll kind of play out, so I don't probably need to say this. But first off, I am not trying to imply that every single alert that I send out is some massive winner where money rains from the sky. Everybody loses. There's nothing, no such thing as a perfect trader, perfect scanner, perfect anything. And whether or not people show you that is a whole different story. But I don't want to come across and make it seem like everything I send out to members is just pure gold or anything like that. But it does go to show why risk management and risk control is very, very important. And on that note, I will say that this is kind of probably not the best video to do from a marketing standpoint, but from a learning perspective, this is going to be kind of a two-parter because you're going to see what happens during this week's worth of scans, but I'd encourage you to come back for the video I do next week to kind of close out this little learning session about how, because I'll be up front right now, it was a very, very sloppy week, and I'll show you just what can happen in the life of a trader, what can happen in the world of trading. Sometimes things just align and things get sloppy, and I'll show you what I mean. But like I said, come back next week and you'll see. I don't want to ruin next week, but just come back and you'll see kind of how things play out and why risk control, risk management is so important. And so just like I said, first time I've done this, but it's kind of just the way things line up. And that's why I like doing these because, these are all the real results. So this is just how things kind of unfold in the real world of trading. But yeah, I'm not trying to come across like I'm some sort of perfect trader or anything like that, as you're about to see. And then the second thing is, as far as context, we will be going back and looking at the week of April 29th. So 429, hey Clay, why are you going so far back? That's a more than fair question. First off, it just gives the chart and everything plenty of time to have played out so we know what exactly has happened. And then the second thing is it's just a matter of being fair. The last thing I would want is to put this stuff out there when others have paid for it. Obviously you would see how that could maybe rub the paying members the wrong way there. So, like I said, gives the chart plenty of time to play it out, and then it's just a matter of being fair. So let's hop into this review and kind of a real-time learning lesson too. A couple of quick details. Clay, what price stocks do you cover? Very common question. I cover anything. I'll cover penny stocks up to stocks over $100. If you watch past videos, you've seen some where I'm talking about a sub-penny stock, and all of a sudden I'm talking about a $100 stock. I don't care about price. I care about probabilities of success. So price is very low down on the list as far as things I look for. So there's a good variety. It's not like I only do certain price ranges. I cover what I feel as though are good probabilities. And then also, Clay, when do you send this out? This is sent out every weekend. That way you have plenty of time to look and analyze things. It's not like you're having to rush around and make rash decisions because you get a text alert that you got to act right now or anything like that. It goes out over the weekend, so you have plenty of time to look things over. So the first one I want to focus on here is IGC, and the category was just, is there a breakout coming? As I mentioned here with this trend line, in fact, I used the word right there, annoying. So it's been quite the annoyance to this overall stock, and you can see all the times it's been rejected. So let's see how this one played out. So here's the chart and what it looked like over the weekend when I sent it out, and let's see what happened in regards to this trend line. Well, it went right back to being the trend line and pushed the price right back down. So in other words, there was no play, right? There just wasn't anything to do. Never got any sort of confirmation of that big movement there. Like I said, the trend line literally went right back into pushing the price back down. So that's one of those where, not a winning trade, not a losing trade, just a no trade. There was nothing to do there. And, that happens. Sometimes you'll see a setup, and when you're waiting to see if there's any sort of confirmation, you don't get any confirmation, so it's just no trade, and it is what it is. The next one to take a look at here is just threw it in the technical pattern category, GEO. Talked about the bull pennant here, which you can see mapped out. So yeah, nice little pattern here, so let's see how this one all unfolded. Now, before I go into it, I will say I don't like this one from a marketing standpoint, but I do absolutely love it from a learning standpoint because this just happens, and if you've traded, I'm sure you've been there, and it happens. It doesn't make you a bad trader. It just sometimes the market gets sloppy, and that's really the only way that you can summarize it. So here's the pattern going into the weekend, and then right there you can see made a nice move up and then pulled back, And then, on the pullback, nothing crazy at all. It consolidated actually very, very nicely. So I could see it'd be more than realistic if, people were getting in down around here to take advantage of this nice little consolidation, because overall the pattern was still bullish. And just, again, the nice sideways consolidation continues. And then that happens. And the part about that is that was a crazy day, and I can see that realistically taking people out. I mean, that movement right there. But here's the kicker. Here's the punchline. That crazy day that I could see, like I said, realistically taking some people out, those that are being disciplined. So that's the key thing. If you're being disciplined and if you're honoring, your trade plans and all that, I could see that getting out. But the kicker is this. Then it comes back and boom, there it goes. So nothing like a crazy day right before the big breakout happens. Again, sloppy. Does that make you a bad trader? No, that makes you a disciplined trader, but that's kind of part of being disciplined. But remember, come back next week. There's power in being disciplined. So yes, frustrating things like this happen where I didn't need to be disciplined because it totally bounced back and actually would have been a big breakout, but discipline takes you far, and I'll just leave it at that, but come back to next week. But yeah, like I said, from a marketing standpoint, a very, very annoying one, but from an educational standpoint, kind of gold right here to show how the price, crazy movement right before the big breakout happened, but it is what it is. The next one we're going to look at here is RBZ on the pullback play. And right here just kind of talked about this little miniature gap and trap and was looking to see, hey, can this gap and trap lead to a move down to $6? A quick little disclaimer here on this one. Nothing I can do just because this thing had a monster move beforehand. So as far as the chart is concerned, it really throws off proportions. So it's going to be kind of hard to see what happens. I mean, you'll see it's just not going to be very pretty, but there's nothing I can do about it given, how much the price had moved and then what that did to the proportions of the chart. So here was the chart. And like I said, yeah, this thing was an absolute beast from, right here. It was at $7, then went all the way up to $36. And then another crazy movement there. So that's exactly why I had it on the radar, because I was thinking, all right, well, this thing has shown it can move quick. So let's see if we can get some panic back to that area. So the green line represents it. But again, going to be hard to see just because of those previous big moves. It throws off the proportions. But you can see price got somewhat close to the green line, but nothing. And then did finally pull back and essentially bounced right off of that green line area. So a nice movement right there. And you can see did a little bit of consolidating, and then made a move up. And that move up doesn't look like much, but was good for 12.5%. Again, was it absolutely a massive move? No. And I'm not saying anybody played it perfectly for 12.5%, but even if you got 8-9% out of it, again, is this anything huge? No. But like I said, the kind of theme of this week is just almost treading water, kind of sloppy, nothing big. It was a nice move up, but not, nothing compared to the previous moves up. But sometimes that's just how it goes. I mean, something can be moving big and then moving big, and then all of a sudden you get in and it moves. So it's not like this was a win or a losing trade by any stretch of the imagination, but it just wasn't any sort of, epically massive winner either. But again, it is what it is. Welcome to the life of trading. And then the final one here is OSTK, and I threw this into the history repeat category. The repeat of history being, hey, you know what? If it can work its way down to this green line here, in the past, there's been some nice little bounces from it. So, first off, can it even get down there? And then second off, can it bounce? So let's see how this one played out. So there's the green line down there that I talked about. So we'll see how this one went. Did keep pulling back. And right there, an entry point opportunity. And right there, a nice bounce off that line. In fact, that bounce was good for 11.2%. So a pretty quick bounce off of there. Again, was it huge? Was it massive? It wasn't. And then just one of those where, it pulled back and, that would have pretty much ended the trade. And then all of a sudden, boop, there it goes back up. But even that, it's not like it ever got any sort of follow through and then down it went. So, like I said, this was a losing trade. Absolutely not. But was it any sort of huge winner? No, it wasn't that either. So again, just kind of sloppy. Things, no trades, and then trades that, for the disciplined trader are probably stopping them out right before big moves, and then these moves. And again, I don't want to make it sound like, even if, let's say you got 7% out of this, 7% for a couple weeks. If you go and look at the bank CDs that you can get at your local bank in terms of a certificate of deposit, it's like 2.8% for an entire year. So if you're getting 5% in a week, that's actually really, really good, all things considered, when you look at it from that angle. But still, as far as just kind of the overall general feeling, if you're kind of feeling, wait, that's it, Clay? Good. Then my mission is accomplished, because, yeah, I'm not here to try to paint rainbows and butterflies. And as I've been saying from the start, from a marketing standpoint, yeah, I don't think this video is probably necessarily making anybody want to sign up for the service. But on the same time, from a learning perspective, you'll see. Like I said, you still got to come back for next week, which is kind of part number 2. I realize this sounds probably kind of goofy to say, hey, if you want to join after I just showed a very sloppy set of results. But all I'll say is, look, if you want somebody that's perfect, then yeah, I'm not your person. But if you want somebody that's just going to shoot straight and keep it real and post videos like this that are pretty much the exact opposite of what you do, then yeah, check us out. I mean, there's a whole lot of other videos, so you can see past times where there's been some very, very nice size winners. But like I said, in the spirit of keeping it real, you got to just show that sometimes weeks like this happen that are sloppy, and it's not like it was a disastrous week. It's not like nothing turned, oh my goodness, your account would have been wrecked, but just kind of an annoying week, a week where it's like, okay, things move, but they didn't really move, or they didn't move at all, and it was just, like I said, sloppy was the best way to put it. But if you are interested in joining, these are all the details of the community, and there is, the other big part of it was that there's a live chat room. So not only do you have the newsletter, but you have an opportunity to be in there interacting with me and other traders in a live setting. And there's a mobile app, which I know a lot of people appreciate. That way you don't have to be chained to your computer or anything like that. You can stay in touch no matter where you are. So overall, though, sloppy week. But like I said, come back next week and watch the video, because, yeah, you'll see what discipline and, I'll just leave it at that. Be disciplined and let things in a bigger picture play out. So come back next week and see the update of kind of how all this ended up.